of our children in grade 10 to our secondary schools, I wish to weigh in and say as follows. President Mwaki, the third president of the Republic of Kenya, a champion of education and development in Kenya, and President Uhuru Kenyatta massively developed the education sector in Kenya, particularly in infrastructure and development. Through the due process, we had free primary education, free secondary education for day schools, and without doubt, the education sector has grown steadily even as our population and development priorities grow as a nation. However, some unfortunate truths and discussions must be held now for prosperity, introspection, and national audit. We must be alive to the fact that our Constitution of Kenya 2010 gifted us devolution, which took off in the year 2013. At the same time, the Constitutional Development Fund, now National Government CDF, came into action in the year 2004. Hitherto, several funds have been channeled to our counties and constituencies since then to develop our villages, towns, and where we all come from. This was meant to bridge development gaps and create equity. I take note that since the year 2013, the 47 counties in Kenya have received a total of 4 trillion transfers from the national government to county governments as part of the share of revenue. This does not include county-owned source income. Further, since 2004, CDF has received about 500 billion channeled to our constituencies and mostly going to the development of education. Various legal professions detail how these monies must be spent. Atop on education and more infrastructure development. When I raise the issue of unfairness in the criteria used to admit children in our 106 national schools countrywide, I have received overwhelming information and support countrywide. I have received overwhelming information and support from Kenyans across. Since revenue is shared equitably, why would some regions in Kenya have national schools that exist by name? They just a shell by themselves. Why would a certain member of parliament or governor or a community invest in the education sector and others don't? The issues I raised, and I want to be very clear, is that all children in Kenya deserve equal treatment. National schools are very critical because they have very developed infrastructure and they attract the best among our children. The issue that I raised, and I would like to continue raising it, is that there must be fairness in the placement of children in national schools. I have not insisted, and I cannot, that children of a certain area must go to schools where those schools are domiciled. No. What I'm saying is, where the schools are domiciled, children from that area who qualify to go to those schools must be given an opportunity. I have examples. Parents have called me from Nyanza, Ngiagaos, Kamusinga High School, Mukumu Gaos, Machako School, Mulango Gaos in Kitui, St. Charles Wanga, Thika High School, where children from those areas who had applied to be considered to be admitted in those areas, in those schools, and attained the requisite marks were denied an opportunity. For example, there is a child from the WATOTO area who got 71 out of 72 marks. Alliance High School is just a few meters from the WATOTO. That child had asked to be placed in Alliance High School, and the cluster was right. That child was denied an opportunity. Yet, some children from other areas with as low as 50 marks have been admitted to those institutions. That is what we are saying is unfair. It cannot be, you know. This placement must be based on merit. for all the children of Kenya. And I am saying it's unfair to deny a child an opportunity to go to a school of his or her choice with very high marks and give that opportunity to another child with very low marks. That I'm saying is unfair, it's uncalled for. Let me also say this, because it's important. Let leaders from northern Kenya not lecture us about affirmative action. Devolution has been in place since 2013, and leaders from those regions deliberately have refused to develop institutions. Yet they want their children to enjoy the facilities of institutions that have been put by other leaders in other counties. Since 2013, Wajir County has received 99.6 billion Kenya shillings. Marsabit County has received 76.83 billion. Garissa County has received 81.7 billion shillings. Mandera County has received 119 Kenya billion shillings. They have the opportunity to develop institutions of the highest standards possible in Kenya. Not just for the children of those areas, but for the children of Kenya. I traveled as deputy